Hello, I'm David Amalotti. Our parent company, Sinclair Broadcasting, and KHQA continue to work for you, keeping you informed on complex political issues facing our nation. We continue our Connect to Congress initiative with U.S. Congressman Sam Graves of Missouri's 6th District. He joins us via satellite in Washington, D.C. Congressman Graves, thank you so much for your time today. Let's begin with the U.S. House of Representatives in session in Washington, D.C. for only 111 days this year. That's according to the schedule. Now, for you, how concerning is it that Congress has less days on the calendar this year in Washington to tackle those big issues important to Americans, while there's others looking at the calendar considering those off days as vacation days for lawmakers?
Well, it's certainly not vacation by any stretch of the word. It's just a difference in, in your office. When we're in D.C., we're obviously doing that legislative work that's required and those things that need to be done. When we're in district, we're always doing district work, whether that's helping constituents with issues, something as simple as fixing a passport, to something complex, say like a veterans issue that an individual may be having, or trying to get somebody's medals for them. So it's just a difference in atmosphere more than anything else. So when we're not in D.C., we're certainly back in the district working. I have hundreds and hundreds of meetings every year in district. And then those things obviously in D.C. So you go back and forth.
Now, long security lines at airports across the United States has prompted Congress to call for action from the TSA. One solution some lawmakers and the DHS officials are pushing is more signups with TSA pre-check, and there is legislation aimed to make signups easier. Do you believe Congress can legislate the TSA to a better solution, or do you believe the removal of TSA's head of security, Kelly Hogan, was a good step in fixing this problem for so many?
Well, I hope it's a good step in fixing the problem. TSA is turning into a very typical government agency in that they can be very inefficient with the resources they have. They are charged with a very difficult task, and that is trying to keep us safe. But by the same token, they do a better job in some areas than they do in other areas. We are fortunate in Kansas City, for instance, in the state of Missouri. We have private screening in Kansas City. We have a few airports out there that hire private screeners. First Line is the name of the company that does it, and you don't see those lines, and it's a much more efficient system. So it's not actually TSA officers that are doing the screening, and I think there's some opportunity there as well, is to do more of that around the country in airports rather than just using TSA government employees to do that work.
Congressman, two questions for you remain. Many states are reportedly seeing a surge in voter registration. What do you think this will mean for the general election this coming November?
Well, that's a good question, and you see on at least on the Republican side, Donald Trump is bringing out a lot of new voters, and the same thing is happening on the Democrat side when you see Bernie Sanders bringing out a lot of new voters out there. I think it's good. The more participation we get from voters and from the public overall when it comes to our elections, the better. It keeps people engaged, and it just makes for better better government, in my opinion, at least from the standpoint of folks that are representing us. So I think it's a good thing. The more, the better, and anytime we can encourage that, I think it's always a good thing. So I'm looking forward to the election this fall and what we're going to see in terms of new voters for the first time.
Now, earlier you mentioned veterans. I'd like to get your take on the Secretary of Veterans Affairs equating long lines at Disneyland to the long wait times at VA hospitals. You had some thoughts on that?
Well, my first indication is that this is nothing more than disrespect for the veterans. Trying to associate long lines when it comes to health care at a facility, when it may be something that is very, very important or a problem that a veteran is having. Trying to associate that with an amusement park is just ridiculous, and it's pure disrespect. And it just goes to show you, just how unresponsive the Veterans Administration can be when it comes to our veterans. And this is something that is continuing, something that Congress continues to struggle with when it comes to the administration. This administration seems to show a complete lack of that respect for those veterans, and because it refuses to fix these problems that continue to arise within the Veterans Administration. Congress can have some effect when it comes to oversight and appropriations, but it still comes down to the individuals that an administration puts in there. And I hope that's something that comes out in this next election, and something that is very debatable whenever we have the two candidates that are going to be vying for, to become our next president. I hope that is an issue that comes up.
Thank you for your insight, Congressman. We greatly appreciate your time today.
Thank you.